Chapter 5 is about the marketing plan. What exactly is it? What goes in it? What's the point of a marketing plan? How is it successful? What would you do with it? I'm sure we've all heard the concept. If you end up taking my advanced lodging course, I actually make you do your own marketing plan. So this is going to help you set up to understanding exactly what this is, what the point of it is, and what we're really trying to accomplish with the marketing plan. So, requirements. What makes a good marketing plan? There are some definite things that need to happen. First of all, it needs to be workable. What that means is that you don't want a marketing plan that's 200 pages long, because realistically, who's going to read a 200-page long marketing plan? It's just not workable. So it has to be just the information that someone needs to be able to accomplish the goals that you're outlining. And we'll talk about exactly what those goals are, those objectives, the strategies, and how you kind of put them together. But it has to be put in such a way that someone could read this, someone could work from it. It's something that I could maybe take and create and make my own. So it has to be workable first and foremost. Second, it has to be realistic. You have to have goals and plans that are achievable. You can't set something up that's impossible. You can't say something like, well, we want to be 100% occupancy year-round. If you've only been 50% occupancy, there's just no way you're going to accomplish that goal. We want to be considered the #1 restaurant in the entire Houston area when on TripAdvisor per se, but we've been ranked number 375. Yeah, you're not going to reach #1 within a year. It's just not possible, because just the way the numbers work, the way realistic ideas and goals work, that can't happen. So it has to be workable, it has to be realistic. The next, it has to be flexible. To be flexible, that means that I understand that things are going to happen through the year that might change or shift the way we manage our objectives and goals. The objectives and goals themselves probably won't change, but how we can accomplish them might. So we might need to be flexible on our budget. We might need to be flexible on our different engagements or action plans, how we're going to accomplish those goals. If something new comes along and it's a great idea, hey, let's implement it. The thing about a marketing plan is it's fluid. It's continually moving. Even though you're setting it up for a year in time, you should continue reassessing that marketing plan and making sure it still makes sense. You don't want to keep implementing the plan, well, we made this plan a year ago, so we're going to keep doing it. It needs to be a little bit more fluid or flexible than that. Next, it has to be measurable and it has to have achievable goals. So it's really hard to manage what you can't measure. If there's no way to tell whether or not you hit success, then it's not a good marketing plan. You need to set actual realistic goals that you can measure and that you can possibly achieve. And so you want to put those together and say, yes, we want to be at, we want to make $1 million this year in sales. That's a goal, it's achievable, it's attainable depending on what kind of restaurant you have, whatever, and we're going to aim to reach that goal, and we're going to do things that are going to help us accomplish that, whether that's through building repeat customers or some of the other objectives we're about to talk about. These are some of the requirements of a good marketing plan. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the marketing plan should be accessible to everyone. We've talked about this before, and that everyone is responsible for providing marketing. It's not just the marketing team. Operations has a heavy hand in it. Human resources, the business owners, the CEO, all of them have a role to play in marketing. And so for that reason, everyone should have access at least to the objectives that pertain to them. Each individual should know what's going on, so follow through and do the things that need to get done. So what exactly are objectives? Objectives are goals or long-term things that stem from strategy, which we'll talk about in the next video. So these are just some examples of the kinds of objectives you can have. This list is not exhaustive. There are other things that maybe aren't on this list that you could add yourself, depending on where you are in maybe the product life cycle, what's going on with the external environment, what's going on with your internal product, and you can decide, well, what makes the most sense. So some examples might be, we're going to have objectives about pushing sales and promotions. We need to have higher occupancy, that double occupancy. So we're going to try to promote more heads and beds, which is going to lead to a greater footprint. Part of that might be we have objectives in regards to advertising, with we want to increase awareness or the intention to purchase. So some of these are going to stem from maybe we're not very well known, or we're having to reposition ourselves. If you look at image and positioning, something along the lines of Chipotle, who had a big hit from their safety and sanitation issue on 6 different locations. And so they're now having to reposition themselves, get the image back to where it needs to be, and maybe they're doing that through advertising initiatives to increase awareness of changed behaviors in order to have a safer product. Okay, maybe you're going to have objectives that have to do with channels or distribution or intermediaries. This is how you're getting your product to the customer. How are they purchasing from you? Are you going to increase your usage of OTAs or opaque channels? Are you going to try to increase direct booking? So, for example, Hilton now has a campaign about Click Hilton. And that campaign, what they're doing is they're trying to promote direct sales as opposed to going to OTAs. OTAs have some really stringent and strict rules that aren't really in the best interest of the organization. And so Hilton is trying to bypass that through their marketing efforts of getting people to book directly, which is part of that channel distribution. Maybe you want to increase customer repeat purchase and loyalty, focusing on that loyalty and relationship rather than trying to get the new customers. We just looked at in Chapter 4 how repeat customers are much more profitable long term than new customers, simply because you're not having to put that same effort into maintaining them, hopefully, if you have a really good product. Maybe you want to increase your revenue per occupied room, so you're going to focus on building new channels of revenue. So you're going to try to increase the amount someone spends. Maybe if you're at a restaurant, you're trying to upsell, you're trying to get them to buy more per check. And so maybe these are your objectives. Maybe you're looking at increasing your research because you want to understand the market better. So all these are the kinds of objectives you can have. You can even do things like we want to change who our target market is. And we're going to have an entire section looking at segmentation, targeting, and positioning in a later chapter. In fact, most of these, we're going to go through these again in more detail, such as when we talk about the advertising, when we talk about communication, when we talk about segmentation, targeting, positioning, when we talk about branding. All of these things will come back because they're all part of this objectives of what you're trying to accomplish. Sometimes you're looking for new opportunities. Maybe there are new niches in the market that you want to take advantage of. They just passed a law allowing gay marriage. Okay, great. Now we have the opportunity to add a new market of weddings. And so we need to maybe change some of our offerings and have a new product to go for this new kind of wedding that might occur. All right, so you start to see that there are new opportunities in the market, things that we want to take advantage of, making sure that that group is compatible with our current customers, and so that we can increase our revenue that we're making, we can increase our footprint, awareness, branding, whatever the case may be. We also maybe are looking specifically at market share. We notice that we are below our fair market share. We are not getting as many people as we should compared to the amount of inventory in the market, so we want to increase that. Right? There are all these different things you can look at, how we're going to price things, how we're going to get people to come in the doors, and these are all part of the objectives of marketing. And if you notice, there's a lot of different things you can focus on. And so what the marketing plan does is helps you focus in on that which is most important to your business in that point in time. So part of the point of the marketing plan is to figure out exactly what those things are. So when you're developing the market plan, you are setting these goals of what you're going to accomplish based on the strategy of your overall business, and then you're going to figure out ways to implement them, or action plans. So you want to start with something short and simple that has to stem from your mission and vision statement, which are part of your strategic mission. You're going to look at what's worked in the past, maybe for you and for other organizations, and then you incorporate those ideas for the upcoming year. And so in future videos of this chapter, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about creating that marketing plan and what the information stems from to decide what your objectives should be.